Okay, so when you hear the word runes, what comes to mind? I bet it's Vikings, right? Mysterious symbols carved into stone, a little bit of magic, maybe? That's a classic image. But what if that's not the whole story? What if it's not even the beginning?
Right. Let's just get into it. Because there's this pretty wild new theory that suggests the real key to understanding runes doesn't come from Scandinavia at all. It comes from somewhere else entirely. And if it's true, it could change everything we think we know.
And it all really boils down to this one guy who came at this ancient puzzle from a totally different direction. His name is Winigius Kosakowski. Now, what's important here is that he's not a linguist or a historian. He's an engineer. So he didn't look at runes like a language to be learned. He looked at them like a system, a piece of technology that needed to be reverse engineered. He was looking for the logic, the design behind it all.
He found this clue, this really cryptic line from a 10th century monk named Hrababar. Their script was unsettled. Now think about that for a second. How on earth can you read and write with a script that's unsettled? It sounds impossible. This was the exact puzzle Kosakowski wanted to crack. And the answer he came up with? It's absolutely brilliant in its simplicity.
And his solution, he claims, isn't about memorizing a bunch of weird symbols. It's about drawing what your mouth is doing when you speak. So the big idea here is that every single runic letter isn't some random symbol. No, it's supposed to be a little diagram of your speech organs, your tongue, your teeth, your lips, and what they're doing as you make that specific sound. Okay, let's try it. Go ahead and say L. Feel that? Your tongue is touching right behind your top teeth. And broom, the rune looks just like that. Or try a long O. Your lips make a circle. And the rune, a circle or a diamond. And for a sound that comes through your nose, like M, well, the rune is literally just a little drawing of a nose. It's wild.
So you see, this makes the whole system unbelievably intuitive. You don't need a teacher or a school. You just feel how you make the sound, and you draw what you feel. For a society where most people were illiterate, this would be a real game changer. And it perfectly answers that monk's riddle about an unsettled script.
And if you're wondering just how intuitive we're talking about, get this. The research mentions an experiment where they taught this system to preschoolers. They just treated it like a fun game, and in about half an hour, these little kids were writing their own names. 30 minutes.
All right, so the theory sounds amazing, right? But does it actually work on real artifacts? Let's put it to the test. We're going to look at a super famous example, a Polish coin from way back in the 10th century.
So historians have been scratching their heads over this coin for ages. It belonged to the Polish king, Mieszko I. Using the standard approach, the inscription is a puzzle. But if we use this new system, the symbols suddenly make sense. You see a nose? That's the M sound. These two lines like clenched teeth? That's your S. The symbol for the throat? K. You put it all together, and it doesn't spell Mieszko like everyone thought. It reads M-N-S-K-O, Mensko. It's a nickname. It means something like the brave one. The puzzle just clicks into place. Okay, so if this system works for one coin, what else could it unlock? And this is where things get really mind-blowing. The implications are huge. We're talking about potentially rewriting massive chunks of European history.
I mean, seriously, if this theory holds up, just think about what it means. It suggests that Slavic runes came first, that the famous Viking runes are actually a later copy, and it means a lot of these ancient artifacts aren't magical charms at all. They're just practical. That cool helmet inscription, maybe it's not a powerful spell. Maybe it's just, this is Hada's helmet from the goose family, so don't steal it. And maybe the craziest part? The theory claims it can even crack Etruscan, one of history's biggest linguistic mysteries, by reading it as an old Slavic dialect.
So the bottom line is this. All of this could point to an incredibly advanced, literate, ancient Slavic civilization that history has just completely overlooked, or maybe even written out of the story.
And listen, if this civilization really was that advanced, it wouldn't just be about writing, would it? Let me just throw a number at you. 6 hours. What in the world could that mean? Well, according to the same research, the ancient Slavs had a solar lunar calendar so unbelievably accurate that over a 21-year cycle, it was only off by 6 hours. 6, compared to our modern measurements. Now, that is not just some basic farming almanac. That is serious, sophisticated astronomy and math.
Okay, so you can probably guess what's coming next, right? A theory this huge, one that wants to rewrite the history books, and it's coming from an engineer? Yeah, the academic world wasn't just going to roll out the red carpet. And this is really where the battle lines are drawn. In one corner, you have Kosakowski and his supporters. They see this elegant, logical system that unlocks a hidden history. They claim that evidence of Slavic culture has been ignored for years, sometimes on purpose, especially by German scholars who wanted everything to fit a certain historical narrative. But in the other corner, you have mainstream academia. And for the most part, they see this as a fascinating but totally unsubstantiated theory from an amateur. They say, look, we've got decades of research based on comparative linguistics that tells us where runes came from. They argue that Kosakowski's work just doesn't have the rigorous, peer-reviewed proof they need to take it seriously.
So where does that leave us? Is this idea of drawing the sound really the key that unlocks a lost chapter of history? A whole advanced Slavic world we never knew existed? Or is it just a brilliant, but ultimately unproven idea from an outsider looking in? And it kind of makes you think, doesn't it? What does it actually take for one person, one new idea, to completely change what we all think we know about our own past?